Honestly, if you're listening, I'd rather you play over Tony Yeboah. So,
wow, and there is no higher mark of confidence in a player than that. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of this season's First4LCFC podcast. Once again, I'm joined by Krys and Ed, the other First4LCFC admins, and we're going to discuss all the big Leicester City talking points from another week and another win for the Foxes, and a weekend of results that sees them occupying the Champions League places, maybe only temporarily, but who knows, we can dream. So we'll go straight back into the Saturday's win away at Sheffield United. A good result, but Ed, I know you were there, so why don't you sort of dive right in and tell us what you made of the performance as a whole?
So off the back of the first 2 games where some people were a bit concerned where we're only picking a point up, obviously it's great to get the first win of the league season. There were still a few things that I was a little bit, I think, could have been improved upon, but you know, going away to somewhere like Bramall Lane where the fans and the players are really up for it, performance weren't perfect, but it's 3 points, so you can't really complain, can you?
No,
results-wise.
I mean, I think. Do you think Sheffield United? There's an element of people in the way they play. Do you think people are sort of underestimating them, or are they for the drop? Do you think, having seen them firsthand?
I think they're solid enough probably to just about stay up, but I guess the underlying thing that I took from the game is that at no stage did I ever feel that we were going to concede. Like, yes, when we went 5 at the back and they were really piling on the pressure and we were almost welcoming it onto us at the end, they gave it like one last big go. But I was always felt comfortable throughout the match. So I guess it wasn't a game of loads of chances. We weren't super creative, but I guess it's pleasing on a defensive side of things that a team that had a decent start to the season didn't really create anything at home against us, especially when we were missing Ndidi.
Yeah, that's obviously one of the big changes from last week was Ndidi missing out on the hamstring injury. But Hamza Choudhury seemed to step up. And Krys, I know that you didn't see the game, but Choudhury's had another brilliant performance where he never really seems to put a foot wrong, and if he does, it tends to be a red card. But he hasn't done it yet. But this sort of like flexibility and the depth that we've got, do you think that bodes well for us going forward?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't think I'd get a word in this pod, but I'm in finally.
I've struggled to bring you in somehow, but I've done it.
Yes. No, yeah, in terms of flexibility, I think it's squad depth. I think that you hear a lot mentioned, in the press about, teams need squad depth to do well on all fronts and all this. So, it's obviously a pleasing sign, and obviously Choudhury, the more game time he gets, hopefully he'll cut those sort of aggressive, maybe not aggressive elements out of the game, but he'll use them more sensibly. And maybe, teams like Sheff United, on paper they should be relatively easy, but nonetheless he still has to work hard to sort of cement his place in the team. So yeah, it's definitely good. And maybe like we mentioned last week as well, Ndidi, maybe the injury came at a good time for him. He just needs that extra bit of rest maybe. So, but yeah, it's certainly good for the players as well to have a bit of a competitiveness for places in the team as well.
But don't you think that sort of if at any point, say at this stage last season, Ndidi being announced that he was missing the game with an injury, for me, I would have viewed that as like a disaster. But looking at it now, I'm with Choudhury coming in, I was a bit like, well, yeah, we'll miss him, but
don't get me wrong. Obviously, like say this time last season, I mean, Ndidi would have sort of been heralded as like the next Kante, and imagine if we were lacking Kante in our title winning season. It's one of those, isn't it? And yeah, I think it certainly helps that, Choudhury put in a good few performances against big teams last year. And yeah, I don't think many fans will doubt him or feel worried when they see him in a starting 11. I think it'll be more like reassured that we have got a good backup. So yeah, definitely it's competitive there. But I think obviously as we'll talk on in this pod, it's not that area we need more. We need more squad depth in, I don't think.
I think it's reassuring as well that, in a midfield that's started with 2 Belgian internationals, that Choudhury is probably the best centre mid there. So,
yeah. I mean, that's a fair point.
I mean, I rate him. I rate him big time. He's one of those guys where if you watch him, he's like an absolute nose in that he just tries to whine. He's constantly like sort of nibbling at the opposition, just trying to whine, leaving a little bit of an elbow, like nothing bad, but just like a little nudge here and there. And that sort of mentality, I think you need it. So the other thing, obviously, Ed, you just touched on it. So Pratt came in for his first start. He had a very tidy cameo at Chelsea the week before. What did you make of him in his full debut?
Well, I think he, as midfield 3, obviously had to counter the compact Sheffield United midfield, and we did fair enough, about a decent enough job. But I think I was talking to Christian about this earlier, is maybe I'm veering from the point here, but I know we spoke about it last time, but Tielemans again had not a great game by his standards that he set last year, and we were trying to think of why we think it probably is, and I sort of came up with the idea that now we've sort of not really playing with wingers as such, and it's more sort of inverted wingers, wide people, and we've also got the 3 centre mids against the 3 centre mids of Sheffield United as well. It's much more compact in there. There isn't as much room for him to sort of move about and find that space to play the through balls in. And I think midfield wise, that's probably the most concerning thing thus far this season, that we perhaps why we're struggling to get as much goals. He's not finding that space and getting that freedom to sort of play them great balls that we know he can.
Oh yeah, and he's going to be central to us going forward. So that's definitely something that you hope that we can sort out. Is it just a bit of a? I know you're speaking about these inverted wings. I know we spoke about it last week as well. But Chris, is this a shape that you want to see us using going forward, or would you prefer us to have out and out wingers?
It's a tricky one. It's hard to disagree with a system that has sort of given us a nice start to the season. So we're bordering on, maybe being fussy and again coming across ungrateful and constantly moaning. But I can see the frustration in that. Obviously, Brendan wants to keep possession, and that sort of fits playing a narrow and compact game. But I think in terms of chance creation, again, Jamie, you're a stats man, but have chances in terms of fewer crosses coming in, stuff like that. I can only imagine that, with a compact midfield, a congested one, chances have been down because, just like yesterday or 2 days ago, a relatively, boring game. Entertainment levels are down, but yeah, we are grinding out results. I think it's when we come up against, a solid team, especially away from home, I am fearing that, without the chances, we're just not going to score, and it could lead to, Vardy being isolated again. And it's easy to sort of just stand on, say, Maddison or Tielemans and just cut off that final ball. And without that, we really have looked quite blunt. I mean, in terms of crosses, Fuchs' his delivery, again, sort of, he didn't get the assist, but he obviously whipped it in for before Soyoncu headed it on. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, in terms of chances created, we're sort of lacking. So I think that would be my main fear at this moment.
I mean, you are backed up by stats as well. We do bloody love a stat on here, but we had, we're averaging 7th or 8th in terms of shots per game overall, but we're only getting 2 shots on target per game at the minute, and that ranks as 18th, along with Everton, Wolves, and Watford and Sheffield United. So it's.
I mean, that's a totally different issue, isn't it? I mean, we've got 7 shots, but we can only hit 2 on target. I mean, that's just fundamentals of not getting the ball in the right place, ain't it?
Yeah, in terms of like creating something clear cut, we're obviously struggling to get that opening, that clear cut opening. But that's something that we certainly need to work on. But I think overall, though, you've got to say, had you been offered 2 draws and a win from our first 3 games, when you looked at it at the start of the season, you'd probably have taken it, right?
Yeah, I think, especially looking at the opposition, I mean, I mean, obviously a few people would have had us down as a win at home to Wolves, but other than that, a draw at Chelsea and a win away at Sheff United is probably relatively predictable. So, well, yeah, I'm not complaining. It's more of a style thing, and I hope we just don't get found out or sort of hit a brick wall in terms of being able to undo bets, really.
So, it did take a fairly special goal to undo that Sheffield United rearguard in the end, and it gives us a great opportunity to roll out Ed Noon's Thronkometer. If any of you listened from last year, this will make. If you didn't, this will make absolutely no sense, I'm sure. So hopefully, this came about when Ed used the term thronker, and we had absolutely no clue what he was talking about. So Ed, if you can just give us a very brief definition of what a thronker is, please.
Well, Dan Walker, the BBC pundit, coined the phrase, and he came up with a list of 11 sort of measures as to determine whether a goal is a thronker. In short, it's just an extremely powerful, well hit shot, but some obviously it's got humorous connotations given some of the metrics used. For example, it is a thronker if you think it would annihilate a pigeon. It's a thronker if you think it would knock over a pig if it hit it full in the face. So, based on these 11 scale items, we can you need at least 4 of them for it to be a thronker. I think I did it. There's probably 6 or 7. So,
right.
You're saying if there was a pig stood on the goal line, it would have got clean knocked out?
Yeah, Harvey Barnes' effort would have took the ball and the pig into the back of the net.
I'm saying
person in row A will be having pork scratchings for dinner.
That pig is not getting up and trotting off, is it? Let's be honest. So I think that this year, I mean, this might die a death, but I think this year we should run Ed Noon's Thronkometer TM, and we'll rank them all, and we will award at the end of the season a Thronker of the Year.
Well, yeah, this is defo goal. This is the first one of the year. It'll do well to beat it, though, won't it?
Ed, give us an 8 out of 10 for Thronks, please.
What you'd like me to?
A rank out of 10. Sorry, I've said 8 because that's why.
Yeah.
No. Well, there's an 11. We can go for it extremely quickly now, so we can give it an exact score because I want it to be a valid.
I think we should. Yeah, I think it's only fair to let's run through it quickly.
Yeah, right. Number 1, does it threaten to lift the ball off the back? Does it threaten to lift the back of the net off the floor?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, there's 1. Does it come off the underside of the bar? No.
No, well, there you go.
Not that one. Is it hit full welly?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2. Would it knock a pig over if it caught it full in the face?
Absolutely.
3. Is it from at least 20 yards?
Ooh. I think it was just about, wasn't it? Was it just on the outside of the box?
Yeah, I'd say it was.
Yeah.
Or did it drop just inside? To be honest, I've watched it about 1,000 times. So I can't actually tell you where it's from.
If we're going on distance, then it wasn't an absolute howitzer from 30 yards, but maybe we'll
give it a tentative yes.
Yeah. We'll give it a half point.
Yeah.
So that's 3.5 out of 5. All right. Did Tony Yeboah score it?
Well, no.
No. So 3.5 out of 6. Does it make you go ooh when you see it for the first time?
I mean, a few drinks had been consumed when I seen it, but I mean that I must have watched it on a loop for about 20 times. It don't get boring, does it?
So did you say ooh?
I think I did, and I've shoved the phone in someone else's face who has no interest in football. So
yeah, I think a definite couple of R's as well.
Yeah, so that's 4.5. So now it is definitely a thronker. So was it scored with a boot? Yes, 5.5.
Scored with a traction engine, but yeah.
Did it hit the back of the net without bouncing first?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5.5. Was it open play?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6.5. And would it annihilate a pigeon?
Yeah, absolutely.
So 7.5. I'm pretty sure if it's above 7, it's actually a double thronker. So
the press.
I mean,
So-
no, to be fair, imagine that. If it hit the underside of the bar, you cannot beat that. The best type of goal is underside of the bar and down, like Neves' goal against Man U last week, if you've seen that.
Actually, you'll find out on the Thronkometer, there's 11, because there's 11 items. If you get 11 on all of them, it's a triple Thronker, but only one person can score that.
I was going to say, we're going to struggle to get that unless you sign Tony Yeboah for some reason.
He's in his 50s now, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, still back him, but I think...
Some would say he's probably playing better than Perez.
Ooh. Oh, dear.
So, I mean, maybe, Tony, if you're listening, what's your fitness like?
Christian, talk about Jose Perez.
Yeah, come on then.
Well,
What's your beat?
to let our audience in on it, I haven't watched the match. I have caught up with Ed over a barbecue and a few beers earlier, and yeah, I mean, it just sounds like he's a bit vacant. Maybe we're struggling to involve him. I'm not sure, but well, I mean, you guys tell me. I mean, did he have a shot? Did he look in? Well, I'm not saying disinterested, but did he actually look like he was offering anything for us going forward? Ultimately. Which is what he should be doing.
Not really. Not for me, anyway. I thought he worked very hard, and he obviously had a big part in the goal, in the first goal. Sorry, in that it was him that won the ball back. But in terms of his attacking involvement, I personally don't think he was up to a lot. But I don't want to write him off.
I mean, I've got a side. I might be wrong, but I picked up on something because the amount of times I watched the Harvey Barnes goal. There's someone running across the line when the ball's in the back of the net who's like should be celebrating, but he's sort of not interested in joining in on the celebration. So maybe I'm just being an absolute catalyst for negativity. But I mean, I'd be sprinting over there and jumping on that little pylon they've got. But I think it's Perez who's sort of just maybe jogging. Who's just, well, I mean, fair play, might just be tired. But I mean, yeah, maybe disinterested's harsh, but something might not be right there. I don't know.
Just to let you know, I've got it in front of me now, and I will confirm or deny whether it's Perez.
It's hard to tell. I'm not sure if you can see a number.
Yeah, he does jog behind the keeper.
He's not exactly. But you see that a lot. To be fair, it's just there's nothing in it probably. So that's all I've seen of the match.
Stop putting the guy down, Christian. He's a new signing.
Yeah, see, if you're listening, I'd rather you play over Tony Yeboah. So.
Wow, and there is no higher mark of confidence in a player than that. I don't think I get any better. Right, let's talk about another positive if we can. Ed, he's becoming a bit of a cult hero. Is old Soyoncu. Mm-hmm. How do you reckon he got on yesterday? Very different sort of challenge to Chelsea and Wolves. A bit more. They were a bit of an aerial bombardment, bit championship as Chris described it, actually. But how would you say he got on?
Well, I think he got a absolutely terrific assist. That he obviously meant to do, and which is the reason why I put him in my fantasy football team. But other than that, like I said earlier, like they didn't really ever look like they were going to score. And whilst part of that you're going to put that down to the Sheffield United attack, you've got to say that our defence, you know, they didn't give them any opportunities to get in behind or many free chances at goals or easy headers, etc. So, you know, for a start of the season, he's stepped up into Maguire's place admirably, and it's not really a defence that's the issue, is it? We've been relatively solid. It's perhaps our only concern is the lack of goals up top. So I got no issues at this stage with Soyuncu, and again, you heard his song being sang last weekend, and yeah, keep it up is all I've got to say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I won't ask what he wants to keep up. So the opposite chances at the
family show.
Yeah, let's keep it clean. Chances at the other end, they did come at a premium, but Jamie Vardy, I mean, it was inevitable, wasn't it? Teams never learn. If you boo the guy, you give him stick, he's gonna score and then be a complete knob in front of you, isn't he? Like he's just absolute king of the rusters. But that was a hell of a finish, wasn't it? Like proper Jamie Vardy stuff. But apart from that, he wasn't particularly involved.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think you've summarised it perfectly there, in terms that he might not be involved. I mean, in this case, it was in the first half, but he might not be involved for 89 minutes, and he can still come up with something as sharp as that. It's that's that striker's sort of instinct, and you can never criticise him for that. Even like stages last season, he might only have half a chance, but he'll do the best he can with it, and obviously top it off with a sublime celebration. And it looked. I mean, if I was him, I'd be getting that canvas printed and banged on my wall. To be fair, wake up to every morning.
I mean, there's countless edits and stuff doing the round, isn't there, on social media? Because it is a proper iconic photo.
It's classic, isn't it? I mean, by all accounts, the people in all four stands giving him pelters. I mean, if only you could have some sort of panoramic image of the abuse, or even have like an audio clip of what he's hearing. I mean, that'd be fantastic. But he don't care, does he? And I mean, I don't think he'll ever care. It's fantastic.
No, any opportunity to be an absolute rustler.
To be fair, I've seen a fair few Sheffield United fans on Twitter just saying like, fair play to him. Like that's what it's all about. It's a bit of banter. They don't like him and he doesn't like them, and they gave him stick and he did something good and did it back. It's
I mean,
yeah. Well, at least purely from the extremely small sample of people I've seen on Twitter, but it's nice to see that. It is just a laugh at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, if you give it, you got to be able to take it, I suppose. So looking ahead, then we've got 2 games to talk about this week, and we did put out for questions as per usual on social media, and one which was particularly interesting was from Amar on Twitter, who's said that Rodgers is quoted as saying he's unlikely to make wholesale changes for the cup. So in our minds, should we be prioritising the league or a cup run? So, and there was a second part to the question about, in our minds, who should be starting. But take the first bit first. Krys, in terms of where would you say, do you think that we should be prioritising our position in the league or looking to go on a cup run?
It's a bit of a double-edged sword, this, but I think let's put it this way. The same conversation always comes up. As soon as we get knocked out of the cup, why didn't we, see off Man City instead of letting it go to penalties and losing if we just played, a half-decent team? So I think, ultimately, if we're going to gauge it on that, the fans want to see us trying in, the League Cup. And then by the time the League Cup's finished, it's basically the start of the FA Cup. Maybe there's a tiny little bit of overlap. But, so yeah, I think, especially start the season, I'd start pretty much a full-strength team. And it's, how many years has it been since we, what was it, League Cup in 2000 the last time? Well, obviously, we won the league, but I'd say... Yeah, I'd start a full strength. Well, not a full strength team, but pretty much take it seriously is the answer to that question for me.
Ed, what would you say?
I'd make 11 changes. Yeah, I'd say like we're literally.
You don't look back at the end of your life and go, "Oh, look at that! We had a good season in 2019-20. We came 7th."
Well, yeah. How did we do in the cups when we won the league?
We're not going to win the league this year, though.
Well, not with that attitude.
Yeah.
I would say, look, you guys were literally saying earlier, we've got this strength in depth. Well, we use it then. There's no point having it.
That doesn't mean making 11 changes. I mean, make 5 changes.
11 changes does not make this team much worse.
And, it suddenly makes a team of people who haven't played together, though.
Well, they need to learn to play.
If anything, we'll reverse that. Why can't we use it as to make... We've just criticised the team for maybe being a bit sluggish, not playing properly. Maybe use the same players, but try a bit of a different... Well, not a different system, but keep it going to have that momentum when we face Bournemouth next in the league. Why would that not be a positive?
Because Bournemouth, we play on Saturday.
Yeah.
And there's like a couple of days rest. So if the concern is sluggishness, I don't think 3 days in a week.
I'm not saying they're sluggish
games in a week.
They're unfit. I'm saying they're sluggish because it's the start of the season. They might need more time to gel under a new system.
I would say, personally, we've got players that could do with playing. Keeper, obviously, I'd say Casper's just about 100% going to be rested. Right, Justin, we've just signed, hasn't played. Play him. Don't really have a replacement for Fuchs because he's already standing in for Chilwell, so don't worry about that. But then we'll have Morgan +1 defending.
Play Justin in. He plays both sides, doesn't he?
True. I don't know if we've got any youth player to play, but I'd do that. And then midfield, I'd Mendy came on, give him a run out, give Pryor more minutes, who's just started. I'd be tempted to keep Tielemans, given that he's not really performed yet. So give him more minutes, and then I'd play with wingers and Iheanacho. So what's that, like 8-9 changes, something like that?
Yeah, okay, and I get the point you're making about, well, yeah, but would it be frustrating for you as a fan to get knocked out in a winnable match away at Newcastle and do the same in the FA Cup when it comes to January, and then at the end of the season, all we've got to show for it is Europa League qualification? I mean, would that be frustrating?
No.
So what? So you're just happy coming just Europa League and realistically not winning that either?
Again, positive vibes. I think
our goal. It's exciting for me to have a day out at Wembley. Like even when we went to Community Shield, that's it's fun. It's an exhibition final ultimately. But like as a supporter, is it not those sorts of days that we live for?
Yeah, Europa League. If you're in there, you can go to Cluj, Belgrade, and all these.
Again, it's not a trophy in the cabinet. So okay, so say Leicester never won a trophy again, which it's not unconceivable. Like, would you look back and think, well, that's a bit shit. Maybe we should have just started trying in a cup, because we were never going to sort of ever break into like a top 3 or a top 2 exciting charge.
Well, to break into that top bunch, I don't think a cup, even if it's consistent, like a cup every 3 or 4 years, is going to help that. What's going to help that?
Help it. I'm just saying, do you not think that there's so many teams, all these elite sides, if you like, don't take it seriously? It's begging for a team who's half decent, and that's underdoing it, to just take it's one match. How many matches do you have to win the cup? Like 6 matches? Is that really, really going to affect the team that much? Just take 6 matches seriously. We'd be playing 6 matches if we were in the Europa League this year. So instead of being in the Europa League,
you rotate the team in the Europa League.
Qualify for the Europa League, we're not going to take it seriously next year, because there'd be no chance of doing that, because that'd be even more stress. That's like Man City levels. So surely the season we're not in the Europa League, just go for the cup. Go for the cup and take it seriously, and then we can look back and go, yeah, we tried it, it didn't work.
I think the goal is for the owners and the club.
We're not a team. We don't need that. I mean, it's not for me to say like in a frivolous way we don't need extra £6 million for like finishing a couple of positions higher or whatever. But like the owners are ambitious people. I'm sure they want to see, us lifting the trophy as well. It's not all about finances, is it? We're not a League One team who's struggling for money.
I think European football is the goal, and the coming 7th is more realistic. It's pragmatism over glory.
I don't know. I don't know if you sat down with sort of someone high up at Leicester City and they just dismiss it like you have. I think, I do think there's more to it. I do think there'll be conversations between Rodgers and the chairman who would want to see us push on in a cup, as the majority of fans would as well, I think. Anyway, maybe we'll put it to a poll and
put it to Jamie.
Well, yeah, obviously. Welcome back, Jamie.
Yeah, forgot it. I've just been sat here very quietly letting you tell
You're
us.
Weirdo listening in.
I know. Sorry, lads. No, it's really interesting debate though, because I think you're two sides of a coin where people would have this conversation a lot. I think what it boils down to. So, say if you were given the choice, then both of you, between a final appearance in, say, the FA Cup or League Cup, or finishing 6th in the league and guaranteeing yourself European football this year, which one are you taking?
Well, okay, I'll be honest, and I would. This is where it's complex. Like, obviously, I want the Europa League, but what I'm saying is that I don't think finishing 7th, qualifying, and winning a trophy is impossible. And I'm just saying that whilst we don't have that many games, obviously, once we've qualified, it would become a bit of a stretch. So I'm just thinking that maybe in a positive way, time is running out for us as a club before we take that next step to that top 6, 7. To just come on, this season we haven't had a manager who's taken it seriously in, like, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I think that because like you said, in the year we won the league, I think we lost the FA Cup in the 3rd round, and we went out of the League Cup in the 4th round. I think to Hull, was it like penalties? No, we didn't get very far.
Just to summarise, my frustration probably boils down to how close we could have just. Was it not Man City knocked out on penalties last year? Was that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's just frustrating that and they took the piss a bit. Well, excuse my language, but in terms of the team they fielded, like they come to us and they still managed to see us off. Where realistically, if we just sort of put our minds to it, we could have. Who knows? It's all ifs and buts, but like all I'm saying, I'm on the side that I think we can get to a final and still qualify for Europa League, and then next year focus on it'd still be rotation in Europa League, but yeah, we would like to have more European away days too. So ideally, both for me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because taking the cup seriously is by definition means that you play your full strength team. I think that implies that you don't make any changes, but I think when you look at the players in our squad now, the players that you would likely be bringing in, it's not like in recent years. Like you go back sort of 4 years, you rotate your squad heavily and you bring in playing bloody Gary Taylor-Fletcher in central midfield. Like it was a different sort of thing. The lads that be coming in would likely be players like Barnes, Morgan, Mendy, Albrighton. Like these are not bad players.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, and the only last thing I want to mention is like what also frustrates me is when teams start a weak team, like a weak team, if you like, in inverted commas, and then bring on players in desperation. So why can't we do it the other way around? So give Vardy 60 minutes, and even if it's still a draw, take him off. Fair enough then. But realistically, hopefully, we could be a couple of goals up, and then just rest him for that last half hour. I mean, that's personally how I'd like to see it. But yeah, obviously, for me, ideally 3 or 4 changes and keep a good core of the first team is what I'd like to see. 3 or 4 outfield changes plus, Kasper's realistically, he's not a cup goalkeeper, no.
I think Ward will play personally, but Ed, would you be happy with that if Leicester did make you 4 changes? Would that be enough rotation for you, or would you like to see more wholesale?
Well, I don't think my agreement on the matter is going to change what happens, but I'd rather have everyone out other than maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah,
I think our squad depth, it's not like these are Muppets. These are, like you said, Iheanacho, even Damari Gray. We've not even seen him on the bench. Just saying, look, this is your chance.
And I think that will happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying maybe the players you mentioned are the ones that come in, but not 10, not 11 change. I mean, I don't think has that ever happened. I mean, that's quite really quite extreme, to be fair.
No, I can't remember it being, but we've never really had the squad to be able to do it, to be fair. I think it'll be a bit of a mix. I think you'll see Barnes and Albrighton will definitely start, in my mind. I think Damari Gray will get some minutes. I'm not certain Iheanacho will play. I think him not being in the squad at the weekend was quite telling. We actually didn't have another striker on the bench, which says a lot about him for me. But I don't know. I think it'd be maybe a change of shape, a bit more of an attacking lineup. It'll be interesting to see. So I think last week we all predicted a win, and we all got that right at least, which is good. None of us got the score exactly right though. But what do you reckon then, if you want to put your necks on the line? A trip to Newcastle, obviously they're resurgent. They got a good win at the weekend, and it was a good performance from them. What do you reckon, Ed? Firstly,
I think the score is going to be 1-2
with Leicester winning.
Yeah,
away. That's very good. Krys?
Well, again, it's a difficult question. Obviously, Newcastle in theory on the back of a good win against Spurs. But they need to probably be a team focusing on the league, to be fair. Let me think about it. We want to put on a good display. Obviously, people travelling up there as well. Hopefully, let's go. Let's go for. Let's be a bit more optimistic. 3-1 and a more aggressive sort of display from us. 3-1 Leicester.
Like that a lot. I think they played a good game against Spurs, but I think it was really surprising how toothless Spurs look. Harry Kane in particular was dreadful. I don't know if you saw the game, but fluffed his lines big time towards the end. Like wasn't at the races, but that aside, I think we'll keep a clean sheet. 2-0 Leicester. Iheanacho to come on and score. Not likely. So.
It's going to happen now, so.
Well, if it does, I'll be happy. So then we look ahead to another tough game at the weekend against Bournemouth at home. I mean, Bournemouth as a side, I never really know what to make of them. It almost seems like some days they're world beaters and some days they'll get tonked at home by someone terrible. You just never really know what to expect from them. But did you? I don't know if you did it. If either you saw them play yesterday, they gave it a good go against Man City. They had a good old crack at them.
Well, I think me and Ed were discussing this as well. Maybe after last week's podcast, that at home they can sort of hold their own against better teams. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some times they've been absolutely battered, but I just think that if they're one of them teams that at home they'll do a bit of a different performance than away. But ultimately, I think they're just vulnerable at the back wherever they are. And I think, but they're aggressive coming forward. So I mean, that's my that's what I think of them anyway.
Ed, anything that you look at from, especially in terms of their players, they play 5 at the back as well, which we've shown to not be particularly comfortable against. Are you worried looking at them? Is there who are the players that you think will hurt us, if anyone?
None of them. A similar position to the Sheffield United prediction as well, actually. Like, I just felt like, I know we didn't give them the thrashing I thought, but the game panned out not too dissimilar. How at no stage thought they were going to concede. Like, I could end up with quite a lot of egg on my face.
Josh King. I mean, they're not players to be sort of dismissed, though, are they?
I'm dismissing them. I'm saying that this game at the weekend, Leicester are going to keep a clean sheet. Second clean sheet of the season.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to disagree. I think there's goals in this.
I'll say 2-0.
Goals are plenty. I feel like it's going to be controversial. Bournemouth and penalties sort of go hand in hand for me. I'm seeing goals. 3-2 Leicester.
Be cool, brave, cool. Ed, what are you saying?
I said 2-0.
2-0. Thank you.
No sweat.
Missed that one. I think, Chris, I agree with you. I think that it could be a proper ding-donger of a game, to coin my granddad's expression. I'll give it a 2-2 draw. I'm never optimistic, especially not at home for some reason. And Harry Wilson, because someone was saying on Twitter, they were giving it the big and saying, "Oh, we should sign him in the summer." And I'm not really sure. He's banging in some spectacular goals, but I can't really see that he's.
I've just seen. Well, yeah. On that similar note, I've just seen we've been tagged in something on Twitter where who would you rather have in number 10 position, James Maddison or Mason Mount?
Ooh. I mean, Maddison, but...
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, it's one of these where you have a couple of good games and it's realistically FIFA players, I think is what you replied, who are suddenly inflating these guys. I mean, they're good players, but let's not be silly now.
No. Well, so 2-2, at least you guys are being optimistic. So
just if you want some stats, because, that's what we do. Bournemouth's only away game so far this season, they had 4 shots on target against away at Aston Villa, and they had 37% possession. It's just like...
I mean, realistically, I'd like a bigger sample. I don't know what... Maybe they were toothless last year. I just, for some reason, always think of them as a relatively open team to play against.
Well, yeah, they did still score 2 in those 4 shots, but just like first game of the season against Sheffield United, they only had 3 on target as well. So
I just think it's, as Jamie said as well, it's their shape versus ours could cause us problems potentially from wide positions as well.
I don't know what shape they're going to have, do we? Because they got Daniels, their fullback, did something to his knee against Man City and is meant to be out for ages, and when he went off they changed and put Ryan Fraser, probably their most flair player, at wing back, which sort of kills a lot of his attacking flair. So
I mean, ultimately, it will be interesting. Can we agree that this will be the biggest test? Well, actually, Ed, you're going to disagree, but I just think quality-wise, their attackers will be the most potent threat to us yet this season. Is that fair for me to say?
Disagree.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting one because, I think if you look at Wilson, King, Fraser against Giroud,
they're ultimately experienced players, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're a good side when they click. They are a good team, but I'm seeing they played 4 at the back in the first game, 5 at the back in the second game. So they're a team that can mix it up as well. So they've definitely got it in them to hurt us. But Ed, you were fairly strong in your disagreement there.
Oh no! When we played Chelsea, we played against Mount, Pedro, Giroud, Pulisic, Abraham, Willian. You know, these are.
I mean, Willian, let's just cross him off. He's
well, yeah, he had a nightmare that game, didn't he? But that's not to
and
say.
And then 2 players you
not
mentioned,
players.
former Championship strikers last season. And then Pulisic is a new signing, and Pedro, well, I mean, he's not a world beater, is he?
If we're talking about past things, what multiple time Champions League winner, there's Premier League winners there. There's, I don't know. I just think
winning titles doesn't do anything for you. You'd rather come 7th.
there's winning league. I'm talking about the league. That does a lot for me. Winning the League Cup doesn't stimulate me.
Sorry, you said titles, that's all. I just thought you meant generally cups.
League titles.
Yeah.
League, yeah. But yeah.
Which of them have won a league title?
Chelsea team.
What? Where? Pulisic? I don't know, actually. Did he win one at Dortmund? Don't think so. Pedro has probably won about 10. So
Lequeta must have won it.
I meant, well, more precisely Premier League.
Oh,
I need to get that list up again. But
has Giroud won it? He must have done. No,
I think so.
No. Willian multiple times. Pedro.
How many times has Williams won the Premier League multiple times?
Yeah.
Forget how long
he's been there for.
He must have been there.
Chelsea
6
Premier League title. I'll tell you. How often? When did they last win it? He joined there in 2013. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 seasons. I'm imagining Chelsea won the league more than once in the last 7 years. I don't know. We're digressing, but yeah. I think
he won the league twice with Chelsea, 14, 15 and 16, 17.
Yeah. Well, as we digress, I think Chelsea's attack is better, and I think people are doing them somewhat of a disservice this season. However, I think Bournemouth are certainly the second biggest threat attacking wise this season.
Fair shout. I think it'll be a stern test. It'll be a good measure of where we're at as well, because I think it's fair to say that even though we've picked up some points and I know we played well against Chelsea second half, we haven't really got going yet. So it'll be interesting to see what we do to a team if we do properly click. Which is something that I really, really hope that we do in both games, obviously. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. We have got the capability of absolutely unlocking, like I said, Bournemouth are open. I just think, yeah, we could also be undone by them. But yeah, it could easily. There's one of them moments where we could just absolutely blow them away 4-0, bish bash bosh. We'll be laughing about it next week, or Ed will be at least. But no, I don't know. I just see goals both ways. Who knows? And VAR drama, to be specific.
That is an extremely specific prediction, and you know what? I hope you're right. So I think that seems like a good point to leave it on there, Ed. That you normally have something to add. Are you good?
Only thing to note is that it finished 2-0 to Leicester last season, so it's going to finish 2-0 to Leicester this season as well. So
right. Okay.
That's all really.
Brilliant. Well, in that case, if you've made it this far and you've sat through Thronkometers and arguments and the debates and talking about which defence is best, thank you very much. We do always appreciate it. Any feedback, feel free to tweet us or comment at Facebook. We do appreciate the feedback as always, and we look forward to hopefully speaking again next week with 3 more points, and I will get my words out next week, I promise.
Thank you very, very much.
Goodbye.
Bye.